Hello students, welcome to biology class. Today we are going to discuss about fertilization and this topic is from chapter 1. Now what is fertilization? It is the fusion of the male gamete with the female gamete which results in the formation of zygote. So this process is known as fertilization. Now what is fusion? Fusion means judna. So when the male gamete it fuses with the female gamete, the result is the formation of the zygote, and this process is known as fertilization. Now we will discuss how the process of fertilization it occurs. Now beta, you know the anther, it contains the pollen grains, okay, and the female part, that is pistil or carpel, it contains stigma, style and ovary. Now what happens when these pollen grains they fall on the stigma, that we are going to discuss. Now see beta, this part you can see, this is the stigma, okay, this is style and this is ovary. Now beta, what happens? This is the filament and it contains a bilobe anther which contains pollen grains. Now these pollen grains, when these pollen grains fall here, what happens beta? This pollen grain it germinates and it forms a tube, and this it dissolves this stigma here, the layer, and then through this style this tube it enters into the ovule. So here this is the ovule and this is the pollen tube. So this pollen tube it enters here, okay, through an opening which is known as micropyle. So this is the opening which is known as micropyle or micropylar opening. So now beta, this is the pollen grain. This pollen grain it germinates and it forms a tube which is the pollen tube, and this pollen tube it grows and it enters into the ovule through an opening which is known as micropyle. Now this pollen grain it contains the male gamete, and this male gamete it will enter the ovule through this tube, and here they will fuse with the egg, that is the female gamete. So this fusion of this male gamete, very important, with this egg, it results in the formation of zygote. Okay, it results in the formation of zygote. So this process is called fertilization. Okay, after fertilization beta, what happens? After fertilization, the petals, the stamen, the style, the stigma, they wither off, they fall off, and the sepals they remain attached to this ovule. Okay, and the ovary is there, the presence of ovary is there. This ovary it contains the ovule, inside which, because the ovule is fertilized, inside this ovule there is embryo. And how this embryo is produced? This embryo is produced by the division in the zygote. So I told you zygote is formed. Zygote is the result of fertilization. After the division in the zygote, embryo is formed. So the ovule which is containing the embryo, it becomes seed. So the resultant, the fate of the ovule is it becomes seed. And what does seed contains? Seed contains a small baby plant which is known as embryo. And this embryo it may contain one or two cotyledons which provides food or which store food, okay, for the future use. Okay, and what happens to ovary beta? The ovary it may become thick or it may become hard, okay, like in the pod of the poppy plant, or it may become fleshy, ठीक है, like in case of tomato, you can feel the, ठीक है, ovary, you can just touch it, you will find that it is very fleshy, ठीक है. Apple, in case of apple also it is fleshy, ठीक है. So ovary is what, the fate of the ovary, the result of the ovary is it becomes fruit. Okay, so what you have to remember, beta, what is the important point here? After fertilization, the ovule it changes into seed, and the ovary it becomes fruit. Okay.